in the due process, they emerged another group led by the late Paul Konange,
yes,
who was member for Kiambaa, and the then member of parliament for Nyeri Town, Ngonjiri Wambogo,
yes,
which termed himself as Kieleweke. So that divide started appearing and showing up in parliament quite often. And it was creating a lot of friction. But nevertheless, as a speaker, and I had my own views about things, but without a vote. But I would nevertheless allow people to do whatever it is they did, as long as in the House they did what was necessary to be done. And therefore, things having moved quite a bit, it surprised me when I walk into State House in the waiting room, and I find these two gentlemen and the lady and my friend Jay Muturi. And then suddenly, friend Matiang'i hands over to me a brown envelope. And when I looked at it, I could see what was there. People marked yellow. I knew those were meant to be the ones somewhere in the middle. Green meant those ones who are in Kieleweke. And red meant those ones who are in Tanga Tanga. But so it caught me surprised. I wondered, who are these? Why would they be in the executive? Why would they want to get involved in running parliament? I had not complained about the fact of that divide giving me any problems. Certainly, even if I had raised discussions in private, certainly not with any of them. So I got surprised that they want now to tell me these people, the ones marked red, are to be treated in a certain ways. They are not to be favored by the speaker, and things like those. And I got very, very furious, and that's why I asked them whether they wanted to take over the running of parliament, and whether they had ever seen me in their offices.
yes,
Or even called any of them to ask them to do any changes about the personnel in the ministry that they ran. So I took great exception to.
So you were fulminating with anger there. Yeah, because just reading what you were saying here, you asked that categorical question. Have you ever seen me? And this you're pointing it to Fred Matiang'i, Karanja Kibiso, and Nancy Gitawa. Have you ever seen me in your office asking you to transfer a county commissioner? That was for the Ministry of Interior.
Yes.
Or a chief, or an assistant chief, or even any officer in the national administration, I asked. There was silence.
Yes.
So now you think you can walk into parliament and start assigning roles? I said, voice burning with contempt. Who gave you the nerve? I didn't expect an answer. Nancy shifted uncomfortably. Matiang'i and Kibicho lowered their gaze. They hadn't expected any resistance. So after this, you of course walk now to the backyard there,
yes,
and you find Uhuru Kenyatta and the tree there seated waiting for you. Of course, the 3 chairs now are waiting for you to occupy. And you continue. Can you tell us more from that particular discussion? Because from here, we see also Eden Duale is a marked man, that he has now to be taken from the seat of the majority leader of the National Assembly. But also you are adamant.
Yes, because for me, it really didn't matter what somebody did during the weekend, whatever they did with their politics.
Yes.
As long as they did parliamentary work. And my concern was that here are people in the executive who are now to begin ascribing certain motive or behavior to members of parliament who are my subjects. And I felt this is wrong. And even as much as they insisted, they had made, of course, proposals as to who should be removed from what committee, to the chairman of this committee, leadership, and what and what. And I said, that's why I had to face the president direct and tell him, no, this cannot happen. The proposal for who was to be the leader of majority. I said, President, you know him. We've been together. We were with him in the previous parliament.
Yes.
You know his capacity. I also can tell you today, at that time, I know that house better than any one of them, those people who are making those proposals. And therefore, I said, no, I will not take this. Because remember, by the time they are doing this, they had already done it in Senate. They had replaced the leadership there. People like Murkomen had been removed, Susan Kihika and others. And, there had been those changes. Now they are coming to the National Assembly. And I was telling the president, look, the National Assembly is the fulcrum of Parliament. If you cause disruptions in the National Assembly, you affect the performance and the output of Parliament. Even you people in the executive, you rely so heavily on the work done by the National Assembly. And therefore, I was telling him, please, this should not be entertained. And somehow, President Uhuru seemed to agree with me with regard to the arguments that I made at the time. But of course, as you may find that in the book, friend Matiang'i still cut, at the tail end, he ends up by saying, well, even if we don't change anything else or any other person, Duale must go.
Why do you think he was particularly intent on Duale?
I'm not too sure that I can ascribe a reason, but I think at the time he was perceived to be too close to William Ruto, yet he was the leader of a majority in the House. But my argument was, as far as I was concerned, and that's why I keep telling people, I don't hold grudges. I told them, as far as I know, notwithstanding how close he may be to William Ruto, he deals with me. And Duale is very consultative. In a day, Duale could come to my office about 3-4 times to consult about this. So I found he was, at all times, driving the business that was supposed to be driven by the leader majority quite well and quite effectively. And therefore, I did not see why these two had picked on him. It's not, I was not just defending Duale for the sake of it. It's because I was working with him and I knew his ability and capacity. He was doing his work as expected under the Constitution. Yes. But
was it too close now to the then Deputy President? Because, of course, Aden Duale before has been on record saying, me and Ruto, we get along famously. Then even if he is to tell me that I can jump from the top of Kenya International Convention Center and, provided he assures me that I'll not break my legs, or I can even take a bullet for him.
Actually, he said that not
that sort
about...
of loyalty, yes?
He said that not about William Ruto. He said that about Uhuru Kenyatta.
No, it was William Ruto.
No, when he made that statement, you can go back to records. He was saying, because, at that time, when he made that statement, this thing about Tanga Tanga and Kweleweke was not coming.
Yeah, that was before. I'm just referring back to the history of where, of course, he was talking about William Ruto. I'm very certain about that because.
Well, I don't know, but when he talks about even if he's asked to jump
from the
KICC, he was referring to, at that time, he was referring to Uhuru Kenyatta. And, actually, Duale also used to consult with Uhuru quite frequently as leader of majority. Of course, given the new constitution, particularly when we came in the 11th Parliament, the Constitution Kenya 2010, brought a new dimension of parliamentary architecture and the way to process business. And therefore, most government business used to be brought to the House through the office of the leader of majority. And therefore, because he doesn't sit, the leader of majority does not sit in the cabinet, in naturally and to consult with the president, the deputy president, and from time to time with the respective cabinet secretaries to understand when they are bringing certain business, what is the genesis